Coming to you live, it is Adventures in Awful, and we're trying the mic in a new place. Does this work, or do you need us to move the mic to a more conventional setting? Speak up so we'll see if they can hear you too.
I just started talking.
I don't think so.
No? You don't think so?
I don't think you're really putting effort into it. You're not really giving it your all.
Since when do you question how much I give?
Okay, you win. Done. You win.
I think they can hear me very well.
Loud and clear, in fact?
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, it's going to be a good show, I think. So, how's the sound? Okay, cool. All right. Well, welcome to another Adventures in Weird.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, we're diving into the weird and wonderful world of...
the Golden Amazon.
Yes, the Golden Amazon. The Golden Amazon who is going to rule the world with gold.
Yes, actually.
Yep, that's her big plan, gold.
You know, if she was called the Golden Amazon because she was like Goldfinger, where, you know, her whole plot to rule the world revolved around gold, I think it'd be fine. I think it's a little on the nose to then like give her gold-colored skin.
Well, you know, she was competing with Doc Savage.
Well, then shouldn't her last name be Midas? You know, Violet Midas?
You know, I don't even know where this is going right now. Before we get the show started, as always, we are going to encourage you, yes, you, to tell everyone we are live. And,
please do.
You know, I'm gonna adjust something.
What are you adjusting? What are you adjusting? Oh, he's behind the camera. He's moving the camera.
How's that?
For me, better.
Yes, thank you. You have done this for us, allowed us to have such wonders of technology.
Actually, yes. Thank you.
Maybe a little more.
Thank you, everyone, for providing us so many tripods and stands and new cameras. We really appreciate it.
So, as always, before we start to read you a bad book, we're always going to encourage you to go buy a good one.
And Scars. Scars is the tale of a lost astronaut back on Earth and his fuzzy companion. Not really, though.
James was a high rider, a thrill seeker, an EVA cowboy. He was one of a small brotherhood of men who made their living lassoing dead satellites and towing them out of Earth's orbit. Then came the accident. Scars is a 49-page novella that blends strong character-driven storytelling with hard science fiction concepts. And you want to read the comment from David J. West?
David J. West was kind enough to share that this was an amazing quick read, detailing the horrors of war and the beauty of brotherhood, even that between the species. Simply amazing.
I mean, and if that wasn't enough convincing, there's always Magog. And this really is a review from Magog. You really did say this.
Yeah. I recommend Case File Arkham, not Scars, but another book by Ishii. I've been reading it before I fall asleep at night, just to give me good dreams of eldritch beasts and shadowy monsters.
Yes. And just to horrify you.
Before we launch into the Golden Amazon.
Well, you know, I really wanted to give them some real horror before we get into the weirdness.
Well, Eldritch horror is pretty good.
Okay, so we got 11 people in the chat right now. By the way, I would like to say that Mike, one of our regulars in the chat, provided us with this wonderful banner for the show.
So thank you, Mike. That was absolutely unexpected and wonderful. Or at least to me, it was unexpected. I didn't know if you and Nishi had been talking about it, but I love the banner that you made.
Okay. Let's see.
Nescaro, you have succeeded, sir. I'm pretty horrified.
I am too. And a little ashamed of doing that to you. That just wasn't kind.
For shame.
All right. Chapter X.
Chapter X. Exactly. All right.
Should we change seats?
I'm okay,
Okay.
but up to you. Vernon Brand did not return home immediately after the meeting with Milbank and his associates. Instead, he stopped off at work and put into effect the decisions he had made on the journey up. In a few short sentences to the workers, he announced his intention of relinquishing control of the works, and as he had expected, nobody, not even Robin on the chief foreman, seemed much worried. They were too interested in the promises of the Golden Amazon for that. In vain, Bryant tried to explain that the Amazon was his adopted daughter. If anything, it made matters worse. So grim-faced, he returned home and told his wife and Beatrice exactly what he had done. In plain English, Beatrice said finally, you admit you're ruined. Bye-bye. Is that it?
Surely you could have made some sort of show,
his wife said.
How the devil could I do that?
You said I did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. You know what? I actually read him stuffy, didn't I? How the devil could I? I did everything.
Brandt broke off as Parker, the manservant, appeared at the door.
Oh.
Do you want to do the manservant?
This is the manservant?
Yeah. Do you want to do it or shall I?
I think I'll do the manservant.
Okay.
What kind of voice do you think I should do?
Something.
You wanted the telephone. You were wanted on the telephone, Mr. Brandt. Mr. Milbank of London, I believe. It's kind of a dick.
Brandt nodded and went out into the hall. It was the voice of the industrialist, all right, and his bulldog face was mirrored in the visiplate.
Oh shit! Which one was Brandt? Was he the dead one? That was Succumbi.
No, Milbank was. Yeah. Was he the dead one, or is he the brash Texan?
I don't think he was the Texan. I don't remember.
So.
Oh, hello, Brandt. I've been discussing affairs with a little further with Succumbi, and that's it. That's the Texan.
Yeah.
And Mainwaring. And I think, well, maybe with a little discourteous. Well, maybe we were a little discourteous when you were over here the other day.
Brandt gave an acid smile.
A little?
He echoed.
Oh, that Milbank. Yes. You told us a great deal, which seems to be more interesting now that we have chewed it over, as it were. It seems to me that we've got to come to terms with this daughter of yours, whether we like it or not. Well?
Brandt asked quietly.
What's your suggestion? Can we, meet her? Can you arrange it? I'm sure you might be able to arrange something, some sort of, I'm sorry. We surely ought to be able to arrange some sort of compromise. It's, possible.
Brandt admitted.
Where do we meet? Can she be reached in London? She can be reached in her London salon. No, your home, much more private, in an empty room, with no witnesses, if you know what I mean. Is that agreeable? Very well. I'll get in touch with her and ask her to come over. When exactly do you propose we hold this meeting? We'll be over tomorrow morning, first thing. We want to get things cleared up. We have to take care of her, if you know what I mean. In fact, we might even find time to come over later on tonight and, get a lay of the land and figure out where to put the sniper. I mean, as you wish, Brant continued. I'll ask her to come over right away then, and whenever you come over, she'll be here. Bye. That's really what it says.
That is what it says.
That really
actually.
is what it says.
He replaced the receiver and contacted the Plus Clothing Company. After some preamble, he was speaking to the girl herself.
Do you think, Vi, you would be prepared to come by the home and have a business conference with us? Well, get you away from the plus-size clothing industry and all that. Just on my account. But it also seems Milbank wants to meet you. Milbank and 2 other big men want to meet you.
I rather thought you told me never to come back, she answered coldly, her face expressionless on the visiplate.
Well, I'll admit I meant it, Brant retorted. That is purely my personal wish, but it has nothing to do with with wishes. It's business. And I just want a plain yes or no. And if you won't come over, well, okay.
She thought about it for a moment, then nodded. All right, I'll come. I don't think a meeting here would be entirely to my advantage.
Come over right away then, and stay the night. We've got a room set up for you and everything. We might even hold a meeting later on tonight. Milbank's hinted at it, you know.
I'll be there, the girl said briefly, and switched off. For a while, Brant stood thinking. Then he turned at the sound of the front doorbell. Parker glided into view to admit a rather untidy individual holding his hat in his hands.
Robinson?
Brant exclaimed in surprise, advancing.
What brings you here? What brings you here? All right, Parker, I'll attend to this.
Should I do Robinson?
Yeah, I'm getting confused with the voices.
I'd like a word with you, sir. Private.
Very
Robinson
well.
said urgently.
Very well. Come into the study.
Then when they were both seated, the worker I can't read. The worker looked contrite.
That's you.
I suppose I shouldn't have done this, Mr. Brant. I've no right to come to your home like this. He looked around a well-furnished study with obvious envy.
Come to the point, man, and stop eyeing my brandy. Frankly, I can't imagine why you'd come here. I said my last words at work this afternoon, and so did the rest of the workers. You have to decide to follow the lead of my daughter. You've decided to follow the lead of my daughter, the Golden Amazon. So I have nothing more to say to you.
Robinson looked at him strangely. It was hard to judge just what was on his mind. We got to thinking about things, sir, he said slowly. As you've noticed, we didn't believe at first about your daughter, but since then we've seen a newspaper photograph of the Golden Amazon, an old one taken with a sneak camera, and we, or at least I, recognized your daughter, Violet Ray.
Are you trying to embarrass me?
Well, we got to thinking for all of her promises, she's probably too young to do much, so...
Oh, came crawling back, have you? Prefer the father to the daughter, eh?
Well, in a way, sir.
What the fuck does that mean?
We'd like you to come down to the works right away and see if we can't fix up some kind of compromise.
Oh, no. I know about these Teamster compromises. When the boss comes into an empty factory alone, no.
I left my kneecaps where they are, thank you.
Absolutely not, and I will not be thrown into the river with bricks tied to my feet. Okay, well, let's do the real dialogue.
Brant pondered for a while, then at last he got to his feet.
Very well, then. I'll come, but don't expect anything in the way of reinstatements. Not until business picks up, anyway. I'm damn well screwed.
I've got the works car outside, sir.
Right. All right, come on.
Why would he go in the workman's car? Anyway, they went out into the hall together just as Ethel came out of the lounge. Evening, ma'am, Robinson murmured.
Which Brant is? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I shall not be long, my dear.
Brant smiled at her.
I've just got to go over to the works again, and it is possible, though not very likely, that Vi will be coming here later before I return. She'll be staying the night at my request. See that the arrangements are made, will you? Come on, Robinson.
They went out to the car in the evening light, and Robinson slipped into the driving seat. With a jerk, the car started forward into the gloom. Brant sat in silence for a time, his eyes fixed absently on the floodlight tunnel of road ahead of him. Then it dawned on him suddenly that they were not taking the main road to the works, but a secondary highway which presently crossed the Malor River.
Turn back, man, he ordered abruptly. We're on the wrong road. Where are you taking me?
No, Mr. Brant. The right road, Robinson replied.
They're going to chuck
softly.
him in the river, aren't they?
What did you say about the Teamsters?
I think this is a union.
And then sudden depression of his foot on the accelerator sent the car hurtling forward with dangerous speed. The dusk-hidden hedges streamed by in ribbons of green. The corners twirled crazily as the car skidded and rocked onward. For a startled second, Brant gazed at the man. Then he seized his arm savagely.
Stop it, you damn fool! Stop this car! It's company property! Have you gone crazy? We'll reach the river bridge in a few minutes.
Brant broke off and snatched his hand away as Robinson suddenly jerked a revolver from his pocket in his free hand.
Shit, I was right.
And leveled it. Yes, the river bridge.
Shit, they are going to throw him in the river.
His eyes were wild, his voice punctuated with throaty gasps. The river bridge that has no parapet, a clear drop of 150 feet of deep water. You blasted murderer, he shouted hoarsely. Yes, murderer. Thanks to you, my wife and I can starve. Thanks to you, I can go without a job for the rest of my days while you live in a lap of luxury. What do you care? You make your piles, then pretend the depression has killed your business. You put your daughter up for all the tricks and the ideas of her security and countrywide control of business. Smart Brant, aren't you?
You damn socialist! You're mad, Brant panted. Stop, you're crazy. Stop this car. I said it's company property.
Steady, Robinson snapped as Brant made to reach him. Steady, I say. Crazy? Oh, not me. You see... What?
You do crazy well. I like.
Oh, thank you. You see, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat the slow death of starvation you planned for me and my wife and other workers you kicked out. He chuckled harshly. I'm going to kill myself and do everything and do everybody a favor by killing you at the same time. Look, he broke off gleefully. There's the bridge.
Oh, yes, I see it.
Brant stared fixedly for a moment as the great white rise of the bridge lay flooded in the lamplights ahead of them. Then he slammed his hand down on Robinson's gun wrist, and with the other seized his neck. He lashed out furiously and fired his gun, the bullet going through the floorboards. Too late. Too late, Brant realized as he made a fatal mistake. For in turning to grapple, Robinson released his hold on the steering wheel just as the car reached the entrance of the bridge. With no guiding rails to either side, the bridge being really a rise road for 4 lanes of traffic over the river, there was nothing whatever to save the hurtling vehicle. It screamed wildly forward, rubber shrieking on stone. Then the car went flying over the edge into space. Down and down the whole 150 feet, hitting the dark surface of the water with a resounding splash. What?
Keep going.
The car sank immediately, and the 4 trapped men. 4? And the 4 and 4. Oh, and 4 the trapped men.
That's a bad wording.
Okay.
That's an unnecessary 4.
Trapped men in the enclosed interior. There was no chance of escape as water roared in on them. No chance whatsoever.
Glug, glug, glug.
It was close to 11 o'clock when Vi's plane settled on the park of the Brant estate. Valise in hand, she hurried across to the house, and Parker admitted her to the lounge. She could tell the moment she entered that there was something wrong. Ethel Brant, seated in the basket chair, was drumming her fingers on its arm agitatedly, while Beatrice, for her part, pale and anxious, was in the act of settling down on the telephone. Oh, hello? She said indifferently, catching sight of Vi, and her mother did not extend any greeting at all. Instead, she got to her feet and began to drive one hand helplessly into the palm of the other. Where on earth can he have gotten to? He seems to have totally disappeared. Vi came forward slowly. I hardly expect a welcome, but I still have some legal connection with the family. Maybe I can help. What are you worrying about? Bee swung round and caught the girl's arm, imploring, like, Vi, we need help. We need your help urgently. And we need it now. It's Dad. He's disappeared somewhere.
He hasn't gone that long.
Like 2 hours, I think. Disappeared, but I came here specifically for a business conference with him and several of his associates. Where's he gone, didn't he say? 3 hours ago, maybe more. Robinson from work just called for him. They were going to the works and have a meeting. I've just phoned there and for like the 7th time, and it's like they seem to have no notion of any meeting. And certainly Robinson and Dad haven't turned up. You're worrying needlessly, Vi shrugged. Father knows how to take care of himself. I tell you, something has happened to him. Oh, that's Ethel. Sorry.
Where?
Right here.
I tell you, something has happened to him. I've felt strangely uneasy all day. Now I know the reason why.
It wasn't the salmon mousse earlier. She broke off and glanced as the telephone rang in the hall. Vi had reached it before Parker. Yes, she asked quietly, and the face which appeared on the visiplate was that of a police officer. She moved a little so that her body blocked the screen from Bee and her mother, now standing behind her anxiously. She only spoke in monosyllables as she listened to the lengthy statements over the wire. When she put the receiver down again, her face was set, thoughtfully. Well, Bee cried. Don't just stand there. What is it all about? It's news, isn't it? About Dad? Yes, it was, Vi admitted, hesitating. I don't quite know how you are going to take this, but take it you must. That was the chief of police for the district, Inspector White. An hour ago, a freight boat on the River Mailer hit a piece of wreckage. It turned out to be a fast car, which had obviously dropped off the bridge. 2 bodies were recovered from the interior and are now in the morgue. Shit, bitch! One was Robinson, according to the work's discharge papers in his pocket, and the other was Father.
Dun, dun, dun.
For a second or two, there was a deathly silence. Then, with a low moan, Ethel collapsed length on the floor. Mother!
Jesus.
Bee went down on her hands and knees beside her, pulling at her shoulders. Mother, please wake up! She looked up desperately, tears in her eyes. Oh, Vi, help me, please! What am I going to do? She's unconscious! Vi stooped and raised Ethel easily in her arms. Best thing you can do is to get control of yourself, she advised briskly. Shouldn't she slap her at this point? I would. Mother's fainted, that's all. Nothing unusual after a shock like this. So get a hold of yourself while I take her up to her room. She'll be all right. They left the lounge quickly, and Bee got slowly to her feet. Dazed, wandered around to the divan and sat on it heavily. Her mind was not yet assimilated to the shock and tears still streaming down her cheeks, almost unconsciously. Her father was dead, drowned. It just wasn't possible. She looked up abruptly and through the mist of tears saw that Vi was standing in front of her. You better go up and keep her company, Bee. She's conscious again now, but a shock has hit her pretty hard. I have to go to the police headquarters to identify the body, so I'll call for you. I'll call for a doctor on my way back. I shan't be long. Should anybody arrive to discuss business. Bee looked at her fixedly, trying to understand how she could be so calm, so unmoved, as to talk of business at a time like this.
Oh, this is really good.
It changed her grief into a sudden eruptive fury. Wait a minute, she snapped, and Vi paused at the doorway with a kind of expression one might direct at some tiresome child. Just a moment, Vi. I begin to see now what Chris meant. You're self-centered, heartless. I don't believe you care whether Dad was dead or not, are you? Oh, I hate you. I just hate you. Vi surveyed the distraught face and the tears. You're unstrung, she announced quietly. It doesn't surprise me, though. Now, you go up to your mother, and I'll be back as soon as I can.
Jesus.
With that, she turned and left the room. Bee stood there as she was for a moment or two. Then, drying her eyes, she also left hurriedly and made for the staircase.
See you at the funeral.
Vi returned in an hour with a doctor. It had not taken long to make his diagnosis, and in the hall, the girl was waiting for him.
He's dead, Jim.
Well, doctor? He pondered a moment as he buttoned up his overcoat.
Oh, what kind of name voice should I do for this guy?
Ooh.
Should be an easy one, an identifiable one.
Like a salty sailor.
Let's see if I can try to do Keith Richards.
Okay.
Well, I'm afraid, Miss Brand. No, that's incomprehensible.
Yeah. You trying to do somebody on Quaaludes?
Well, I'm afraid Miss Brandt has received a severe shock. Her heart was not as strong as it might be either. However, without undue alarms, she could be completely recovered. A shocking business altogether about Mr. Brandt. You have my profoundest sympathies.
Thank you. The girl acknowledged and moved to the door with them. In case of urgency, I'll call you at once.
Yes, do that. Good night.
Good night. Vi went
now, thank you.
Vi went back into the lounge slowly, thinking. She had not been alone with about 5 minutes when Bee came in to join her. She was dried-eyed now, but cold and bitter. I much preferred it, Vi, if you'd leave.
Are you still pissed off about Mom and Dad?
She said sharply, coming right to the point. Things are bad enough without you here. I have made the funeral arrangements, Vi said, ignoring the request.
She works quick.
Yeah, she does. The funeral will be 3 days hence. I also made a few inquiries of the night staff at the works, and it seems that the man Robinson had been behaving very strangely most of the day, acted as though he was unstrung. In other words, Bee, I don't think Father was drowned because of an accident. It looks like Robinson deliberately committed suicide and killed Father in the doing, probably purposely.
So I'm wondering, do you think Mom and Dad should have a burial at sea?
Dad died because of you, and for no other reason, Bee blazed back. But for you, there would have been no depression, no misery, no lack of work to drive a poor devil like Robinson to take his life. He had an imagined grievance against Dad, but Dad died by your hands as surely as if you'd struck the knife into his heart. Not only has your vicious work struck deep into the very family which raised you, but many other people have driven to death and crime because of you. I hate you, Vi. I hate you now, and I would be as I would a loathsome disease. You're not my sister, really, thank God. So I can disown you. But please, if you have any spark of decency, don't stay here. I couldn't bear it. Please go.
I think you should add now die in a fire.
Now die in a fire. Vi shook her blonde head slowly. No, Bee, I'm not going. Because my activities have indirectly caused the death of father is no reason to call me a murderess. You will cool down by tomorrow. You've been under a lot of strain, but I am staying here because I have business to discuss in the morning, father or no father. Now I am going to bed, and I am sure it would benefit you to do likewise. Bee shook her head stubbornly, so with a shrug, Vi turned and left the room. Bee only waited a moment or two to give her time to go upstairs. Then she hurried into the hall and pressed the telephone button urgently. Oops, I hit the button too soon. Thank you. Oh,
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, you're right. Airport? Get me Chris Wilson, will you please? There was an interval. Then Chris' rather sleepy face appeared on the visiplate.
Hello, B. Nice night, isn't it? Do I have to? I kind of like my line better. What's wrong?
Okay. Chris, I must see you. I'm really horny.
Wow, finally.
I want to see your stratosphere again.
Oh, I guess Chris isn't grounded anymore.
The girl kept her voice low, but there was no disguising its urgency. A terrible thing happened. Dad has been drowned. And Mother is suffering from shock. And Vi's here. That's the worst. And I'm afraid of her. I really am. Chris's face became serious as he saw Bee's distraught features in his own visiplate. He had too much sense to show the shock himself. He had experienced the shock he himself had experienced at the girl's tragic news. Quiet voiced, he answered,
Wow, so you're kind of stuck there with the bitch, huh? Okay, well, I'll get permission to come over right away. Don't worry, I'll be with you soon.
And come quietly. The girl urged, I don't want Vi to hear that you're here to help. No telling what she can do to me.
Oh, don't worry. You know, if I make shadows, I would be compared to a thunderclap to me. The line didn't make sense, but we'll go ahead.
Chris switched off and Bee put down the receiver with a little sigh of relief. In her own room, Vi made no pretense of going to sleep. For that matter, she rarely slept above an hour in the night, spending the rest of her time planning or just stretching out, thinking. Fully dressed, she tossed herself onto the bed and lay with her hands locked behind her blonde hair, gazing at the ceiling. The moon was just rising and cast a pale shadow onto the room, outlining the rectangle of the big window overlooking the grounds.
Slowly, she began to circle her nipples with her They were golden, like tassels, but
she had invented all sorts of devices for this type of moment. After perhaps 30 minutes, she heard a faint droning in the night, becoming ever louder. Then presently, the sputter, which her quick ears interpreted as exhaust from an airplane. She sat up suddenly, got off the bed, and went to the window just in time to see the lights of a plane descending to the parking ground at the rear of the estate. She waited, interested, until a figure appeared in the moonlight, crossing the lawn hurriedly. She knew him in a moment. Chris Wilson.
Now she wasn't interested.
No. For a moment or two, she was in two minds of what to do. Then she shrugged and made to turn her attention back to the bed. But something caught her eye. There was a figure moving silently on the next balcony to her own, peering in at the window. She caught the momentary flash of a torch, a big figure, looking for something. Obviously, he had climbed the ivy while her attention had been engaged by the airplane. For several moments, she watched him. Then he turned and slid over to the stone balustrade to her own balcony. She dived for the bed immediately, anxious to see what was about to transpire. I've had fantasies about this. Hastily, she drew the coverlet over her and assumed a posture of sleep. Presently, a torch beam flashed upon her. Immediately, she closed her eyes, though she could sense the glare of the light on her face. Then it expired. There followed the click of the window latch and the softest of footfalls on the carpet. Still she made no move, breathing heavily but tensing every nerve. Something soft caressed her throat, went down over the back of her head, then began to draw tight.
She really had fantasies about this.
Yeah, she acted. In one violent jerk, she tore the silk cord from around her and flung one end upward. It coiled around the thick neck of the man bending over her, tightened before he even had a chance to realize what was happening. "Who are you?" the girl breathed in his ear, pulling him down towards her by main strength. "Hurry up! Who are you?"
Okay. Army matey, Jax, my name. Jackson, Jack Jackson.
He panted hoarsely.
Oh my God, really? A Vermondi Strangler, aye?
With a sudden, swift movement, the girl leapt off the bed.
You know, it would have been nice to actually have, set this up in a prior act.
Yeah. And I would say we skipped a lot, so maybe we skipped this, but I know we didn't skip this.
Like, they've thrown in a serial killer out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? She hasn't killed anybody yet.
With a sudden, swift movement, the girl leapt off the bed, spun the man around on his heels and by jerking the cord.
Wait, why would he admit he's a killer?
He staggered clumsily now to reach this creature, who had one knee in the small of his back and whose hands of steel were drawing the silk cord tighter with every second. In a final effort to free himself, his hands reached out behind him and clutched her hair. He pulled with every ounce of his brute strength, and unable to shake herself free from the girl, he was flung over his head and crashed on her back on the floor. Immediately, even as she got to her feet, he tore the noose free.
So that's it, is it?
He panted, peering at her slender formed outline against the window.
Trying to do it on me. There. Trying to do it on me, will you? Well, I'll show you. I came here to do a job, and I'm done getting it done.
He stood waiting, huge and massive. The overpowering of this slip of a girl looked about the easiest thing he had ever attempted to do. Somewhere in his dumb, brutish nature, he felt even a little qualm of conscience at the utter defenselessness of his victim. He would have preferred a man, and a strong one.
I don't buy this.
No. Suddenly, he lunged, but the girl was not there when he arrived. Instead, a foot shot out from somewhere, and he got between his ankles and sent him stumbling towards the window. Out of the gloom, a fist drove with pile-driver force and struck him clean in the jaw. Half stunned, he stopped in his rush and rocked. God, this is written clumsily. He could not understand it. He had taken the mightiest of punches in the old days, but none had stung him like this one.
Gosh, that really hurt. I've taken the mightiest of punches in the old days.
Maybe he was getting soft.
Gosh, maybe I'm getting soft.
He shook his big head to clear it from the confusion. Then yet another blow landed on him. This time it lifted him right off his feet and dropped him on his back with a crash which shook the room. Then something sprang at him like a tigress from the shadows. Wow. He was pretty sure by now that this woman he had been ordered to strangle could see in the dark. Dully, he stirred to meet the menace and scrambled to his feet. A hand closed on his wrist and tightened with fiendish force. He felt the bones crunch and then snap. With a howl of pain, he turned around to fell the female horror with his undamaged hand. But the same instant his free hand was seized and forced back with such savagery that it brought tears of anguish to his eyes. Something hit him in the back and toppled him over. It was a knee, crushing into his spine like a vice. I don't agree with that metaphor. Then an arm, strong as iron and supple as silk, clamped under his chin and began to force it upwards. Somehow, in a way he couldn't fathom, a deadly stranglehold had been obtained upon him. The more the arm tightened, and the more he felt agony driving into the back of his skull.
Ease up! I'm feeling agony driving into the back of my skull.
He choked faintly.
I'll let you alone. Oh, God, wait, no!
The girl stopped the constriction for a moment, but she did not release his grip. Just a few words with you, she murmured. Who sent you here and why?
I was told not to tell you, but it's Mr. Succumbi who sent me, the Texan.
No, Succumbi's the dead one.
Oh, you're right. The dead one, the ghoul. He told me, he was told by Dr. Mellon that at the airport I was to strangle you.
How very interesting. And how did you know, or how did Succumbi know that I'd be here?
He told me to arrange it. Something about you being brought here on a business meeting or something. And I asked him, I said, well, if I kill her, how are you going to meet with her tomorrow? And he just said, kill her. So here I am. And now you're killing me.
The girl smiled cruelly in the gloom and tightened her hold a little. So, Succumbi, our own little aircraft king, sent you here on the advice of Dr. Muller, did he? And you thought you could strangle me. I'll show you, Mr. Bermondsey. Yeah, Mr. Bermondsey Strangler. That's an odd word. For those of you playing at home, it's spelled Bermondsey. Yeah, that's not very easy. Bermondsey. Mm-hmm. With a sudden savage movement, she tightened her arm to the utmost, the air cut off from the hapless man's lungs. He struggled and fought wildly, nearly dislodging her, but that arm seemed immovable. He felt his head bursting. Darkness roared in upon him. Slowly, as he relaxed, the girl removed her arm. She peered at him in the moonlight, then felt his heart. It was still beating turgidly. Reaching out for the silk cord, she tied it around his neck. Then, using a coat hanger in a loop, she tourniqueted it to the limit. In that position, she knotted it 3 times, withdrew the coat hanger, then surveyed the empurpled face with its protruding tongue. Abruptly, there was a hammering on the door and the voice of Beatrice. The girl gave a start. Then she got to her feet and switched on the light, flung the door wide. Bee came in slowly, still fully dressed, and stared at the figure on the carpet. Then she jerked her face away in sudden revulsion. Vi gave a crooked smile and flung back the tumbled hair from before her face. You're looking on the lout who was sent here to strangle me, she said, breathing stormily. Succumbi sent him, and there is not the least doubt that father was in on it since he arranged it. He arranged that I should be here to be strangled. So, in getting drowned, he only got his deserts. You're lying! Bee screamed hysterically. It's all a mess of lies!
Tell him, Daddy.
Daddy would never have done that! You're a murderess! And this proves it! There is a pronounced difference between being a murderer and self-defense, Bee. It was him, not me. I'm sorry if the scuffle disturbs you, or Mother only. Vi broke off abruptly as the figure of Chris Wilson appeared. Yeah. You, eh? She said laconically? Yeah.
Laconically.
Laconically, thank you. I'm not surprised, you know. I saw you arrive. Incidentally, what the devil do you want here anyway?
I came here to give it to Bee, and whatever assistance I could help her with your dad dead and all, and your mom, kind of dying too. I considered it kind of my duty, Anyways, besides, Chris
added poignantly,
I didn't feel comfortable leaving her in the house with, a scary bitch like you.
Vi's bitter smile was something very close to a snarl. It occurred to Chris for a moment, with a shock of alarm, that he had never seen a human face so closely resembling that of a dangerous animal. Every time he saw this strange girl, she seemed crueler and more alien.
Hey, what's been going on here? He demanded. Is that a dead body?
Oh, do you want me to bypass all this?
Oh, wait, that's B, isn't? Oh, yeah, see, that's not.
Is it? No. Lounge and B insisted on.
Oh, we heard a noise down in the lounge, and B insisted to come see what was happening. So I told her to go up first just in case you were going to kill somebody. Who is that guy?
Supposing I told you, Vi snapped, what would you propose doing about it? Calling the police?
Maybe. It's the same thing. He said, by right, I should.
Yeah. Well, I don't. This is my own affair, and any police who comes in here will make it the worse for you and B, and won't benefit me in the least. Just get out of here, both of you, and forget all about it. Or better still, if you see if Darling Mother has been disturbed. I'll take care of this. The girl kicked the corpse contemptuously.
Yeah, hey, you know what, B? Let's get out of here. Hey, Amazon, what you gonna do with him?
Return him to Mr. Succumbi with my compliments, together with a warning that Succumbi had better watch himself from now on.
So you're gonna cut his head off and put it in his bed, huh?
With that, Vi stooped, seized the corpse by the collar, and yanked it to its feet with sudden effort. That's an odd way of phrasing it. Okay. Carrying the heavy body in her arms, she went out onto the balcony and tossed the corpse to the ground below. Then she crossed the room again to the doorway, the eyes of Chris and Bee following her with incredulous horror.
What happened to the butler? You think he'd be involved, right?
You'd think that. This is Chris.
No,
oh, wait, no, you're right. It's Bee. Never did I know a girl to be so unspeakably horrible. Bee whispered. Then, with a little shudder, she buried her face suddenly on Chris Wilson's shoulder. Vi turned in the doorway. It was his life or mine, Bee. I told you that before. And since father, your own dear father, was partly responsible for the whole effort, I don't see what you have to yell about. In this life, you'll find out that men will do anything to gain their ends. I'm probably the first woman who works the same way. And before I'm finished, I'll take the full toll for the night's work. Then she was gone. In a few minutes, she had gone round the house to the sprawling body. Seizing it by the collar again, she dragged it bumpingly through the shrubbery and to the parking ground where her flying machine was standing beside Chris Wilson's. Without ceremony, she jerked the corpse upward and dumped it into the back seat of the cabin. Then, starting up the engine, she set her machine climbing swiftly into the pale dawn sky and settled herself to study out her course. Some 15 minutes later, she was over a deserted country estate, Succumbi's home. Quickly, she brought the machine to rest just outside the grounds. It took her only a few minutes to reach the front door of the residence. She jabbed the doorbell steadily and consistently until at last...
Ding dong, ding dong.
Hear that or... Until at last the door opened and a begowned manservant peered into the dawn light.
What is the meaning of this?
Then he stopped as he saw the gun in the girl's slender hand. Inside, she ordered. I want a word with your master, and I don't want announcing either. Where is he? Still asleep, I suppose.
Oh, no, miss. He gone far away.
The man answered nervously, his eyes moving from the gun to her face. Gone away? Where to?
He left home that midnight. I can't do this voice. Let's see. I can't do a French voice. What would be another one? Emo Phillips?
You could do emo. That would work.
Uh,
Considering this is the dead guy's manservant.
I don't know. It might sound too much like Shaggy if I do that.
Oh.
God, I'm running out of voices.
Yeah, I ran into that problem.
Okay. He left home right away at midnight with the family. He said he'd spend the night in London, and then he would take the 8:30 plane this morning to Europe from Central London Airport.
Vi glanced at her watch. It was just on 6:30 now. For a moment or so, she thought swiftly. It would be too risky to try and nab Succumbi or any of his family at the London airport, but there might be another way. Her eyes flashed back to the manservant. Did he say why he was leaving?
Something about an alibi, I think. But anyway, it's urgent business. He and his family are going to Europe.
I'll bet he did, the girl said bitterly. Then she put her gun away and added, if you're lying, I'll come back and settle with you and Succumbi. With that, she turned away, but she knew the man had not been lying. There had been no reason for him to do so, no ready idea to save his master. Ideas did not come that quickly so early in the morning anyway. One thing was at least plainly obvious to the girl. Succumbi was taking no chances in this case, in case his plan to kill her had misfired. Reaching the air machine again, she scrambled back into the seat, lifting the flyer to the level of the housetops, then switched on the helicopter screws to keep it stationary. Glancing outside, she saw that she was poised at about 12 feet above one of the house's skylights. She smiled to herself. Then, tearing a leaf from her control board pad, she wrote a few words, with the compliments of the Golden Amazon. Getting up again, she went into the back of the cabin.
Oh, actually, I kind of like this plan.
Yeah. Pinned the note on the dead strangler's coat lapel, then dragged him along to the floor where there was a trap. There was a trap door in front of the control board. Opening it, she peered below. Picking the strangler up again by the belt and coat collar, she leaned forward with him dangling in space just below the trap. Abruptly, she released him. His flailing body went hurtling through the window amidst a shower of glass, making a din which awoke the dawn echoes. In one bound, the girl was back in the control board. Retracting the helicopter, she gave a burst to the machine, which made its rivets creak. In a few seconds, the Succumbi residence was whirling away into the mists of the morning. Meller! Vi breathed. Her eyes narrowed as she sat at the switches. I can get him at the airport, and if he's not there, I can get his address. I have an overdue account with the gentleman.
Oh, so I guess the next chapter is a killing spree.
I'm guessing so.
It looks like.
Well, so far she hasn't killed anybody that didn't deserve it.
So, 61%.
61%?
Wow, things happened in this chapter.
Yeah.
18 listeners. Not bad. So we retained 18 people, so it wasn't boring, huh? Shall we see the comments? Let's see.
JW, we need a big, bold picture of the Golden Amazon with the caption, "This is what a real feminist looks like." Fiona, it's nice I can catch some stuff live ever so often. I'm usually stuck working Saturdays and Sundays. I'm glad you got today off. Fairmaiden White, I need to know where that t-shirt came from, Ishi.
Oh, it's one of my designs.
And you can find it on TeePublic.
Is it on TeePublic?
It is on TeePublic. Or it should be on TeePublic.
You can get the link. And here we've got, autism, keck, helicopter rides, and bait.
It's also on your Redbubble account, right?
Definitely on the Redbubble account, unless it's been banned. So I'll get the link for you.
Nascaro, I get the feeling we'll be asking why a lot before the end of all this. Air Gear, I was forced to take the second shot and I felt like shit.
Okay.
JW, in the movie version, this homicidal worker would be played by Cameron Mitchell.
You shut the fucking door!
Yeah! Cameron Mitchell's a pimp. Neostar. Neostar, the brilliant star that shines through the night, the hot grease that deep fries evil, Riser Man stands before you. Sosa Bird, he would have preferred a man. Are we sure this isn't porn? Damien to Sosa Bird, nah, we didn't. We needed the standard feminist. 120-pound woman can easily beat a 250-pound man scene. Neostar, like Zoinks. Oh, you got to read that one.
Like Zoink Scoop. Like Zoink Scoops. It's like the Wolf Commander, man. Let's see.
Passerby to Neostar. Ring-a-ding, ding-ding-dong ad infinitum. Oh, the ding-dong bell.
Oh yeah, the picture. But we weren't going to share it until tomorrow because, well, it's Amazon night. But yeah, thank you. I will share it tomorrow on the Nothing Cast.
Oh, I didn't know we had another one. Thank you, Wolf.
So, talk to the nice people, and I'll get that link from Redbubble.
Okay. What shall I talk to the nice people about?
Oh, I don't know.
You do not
crafts.
know.
Well, we watched Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind.
We did watch Nausicaa.
And we would really like to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. I figured we'd do that on the Nothing Cast.
Amazingly, just amazing piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't think your Redbubble account is pre-populated on this computer.
Yeah. I'll just mess with it. Right.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah?
Excuse me.
Well, we'll check the Teespring as well.
Oh, I can... the Teespring ones are easier to pull up. It's been forever since I've been on Redbubble. Sorry, this is thrilling while we figure out how to sign in.
Kind of annoying. Okay, let's see if we can't find it on T-Fury or Teespring.
Okay. It's the Cultural Barbed Wire.
Yeah.
T-Public, actually.
T-Public, okay. Yeah, when I made this years ago, I thought it was going to do better with the shitposting community. It just didn't. It was actually in direct response to when Anita Sarkeesian at VidCon called Sargon of Akkad human garbage. Or no, it was garbage human. And everyone was saying, well, I guess I'm a garbage human. And I made the shirt.
This one, storefront.
But
this one?
No.
Or is it? It's not that one. Okay.
It's not this one. It has to be the Cultural Barbed Wire one.
Okay, so there are logouts.
But yeah, and if you look at each and every, I mean, all the text on here has gags in it and references. But yeah. Unfortunately, Redbubble just keeps taking my stuff down.
There you go.
Okay, let's see. Come on, is it in here?
I'm fairly certain it is, but I could be wrong.
Hey, give us a topic to talk about while we do this, because I'm sure this... Oh, here we go. There is the link. Grab the link.
Oh, actually... Oh. They had a convenient copy thing. I'm going to go back.
Are you now?
Yes, I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could keep them occupied with your cleavage and that would hold listeners.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, never mind. So...
Yeah, we'll copy this link.
No. Yeah. Oh, this. Oh, I know
right there.
What it is. Yeah. Copy. Okay.
There we go.
Yes, thrill as we figure out how to copy a URL.
Amazing, is it? Okay.
And now he's grabbing a picture of the.
Okay, yeah, give us a topic to talk about, because I can't imagine this is interesting. Here we go.
Larry, love hearing about Cat's crafts. Been building some D&D houses to help my writer's block. Subtly mentioning that a Discord would be a great place to share this sort of stuff. I have absolutely no idea how to start or run a Discord. But definitely having we can figure out some way to get a group of us to chat about anything that we're doing. I would love that. Um, Actually, before the show started, I was working on the gates for my Infinity Corridor. And those of you who may have been following my Instagram, you can see you've seen the progress on that so far. I just finished wiring up all the lights today. And I just need to do the gates, and then the thing it'll be finally done.
Will it really?
Huh?
Will it really be done?
Well, no, it's never done. It's going to be at a point where I'm stopping because I've been working on this for far too long, and I'm continually getting ideas of more things I can do to it. It's like, no, I say no, God damn it. There will be a stopping spot.
And here is the shirt that I am currently wearing. Where'd the link go? And here's the link where you can get it. And this is my TeePublic account. I have lots of fun, offensive shirts there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'll share that. Why don't I share that? That sound good?
Yeah, do you screenshot?
Yeah, give me a second. But yeah, let's see. Oh, this is cool.
Eloise. Fun fact: Miyazaki's assistant Toshio Suzuki sent Harvey Weinstein a katana with the implicit threat of no cuts after Weinstein insisted on editing it. Wish they'd follow through.
Yeah.
Well, I know that that was the stipulation with Disney was you don't get to cut jack shit, and you don't get to put your interpretation of the translation. And it was a huge deal because it's like nobody had ever, put their dick on the table with Disney and said, "Mine's just as big, dumbass."
Well, I think at this point, they have far more cred.
Now they do, yeah. But at the time they made the deal.
Okay, so here's my store. And yes, all the fun stuff that you can find at the Cultural Barbed Wire store. Safe spaces, or safe words, not safe spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Kiss Me, I'm Autistic. This is one of my favorites. The Republic of Kekistan Helicopter Corps. The first ride is free.
Yes.
Or one of the shirts I made for Kat.
Which I was wearing last week, actually.
Warning, combustion.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten comments on that one in public, haven't you?
I've had people laughing about it.
Well, you fill it nicely. I mean, 49 million can't be wrong. Communism kills. Let's see. Another one of my favorites. Come on, open. Fuck these guys.
Indeed.
And let's see. Chemtrails made me gay. The attack helicopter shirts. Of course, Rosie the Riveter fisting. Let's see. Official Russian hacker. And another one of my favorites. Another one I actually made specifically for Kat. Because this is by no means a unique phrase. But you couldn't find any with women.
No,
they were always like these badass Vikings or warriors.
Which is cool, but I wanted one with a woman.
So there we go. So let's see, what do we got here?
You're still screen sharing.
I know.
Okay.
But yeah, we've seen most of them actually, the Studio Ghibli movies.
We've got Totoro, we've got Spirited Away, Mononoke.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say which one I like the best, although, I mean, Mononoke is really, they're all really amazing, although I'd have to say with Nausicaa, the world building was so incredible that, he's never done anything that detailed as far as world building, in my opinion. And, it was bizarre because it was like he took Lord of the Rings and Dune and fused it together with Japanese animism and some Christian symbolism. I was like very, very impressed. I am very curious. I would like to see the version where they use the word kame, because apparently that word gets used a lot in the film, but we don't have a word that really properly translates. I mean, roughly kame means God, but it doesn't really mean God. It's far more it's more like the force.
Yeah.
It's like kami is the gods, kame is the spirits, kami inhabits all things. It's the spiritual nature of everything, and that therefore everything can actually have a living principle to it, and that when in tune with kame, you flow with I guess the cosmos. You're in tune with everything around you, and you work as a unit. So, all right. Well, I think that's it. Unless anybody else has a comment, but I know that we've got plenty we'd like to discuss. I mean, I don't think it's really appropriate for this cast, but oh man, the Boobs of Steelbook, Jesus. We have a few conversations that really need to be had.
That can be part of tomorrow's show.
This is one thing that just really, I'm still trying to process this. DC Comics, they've always had their Trinity: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And I mean, from an archetypical standpoint, Batman is the equivalent to the Magus card in the tarot. He is the apex of the masculine in all ways, and Wonder Woman's the high priestess, the apex of the feminine. And put bluntly, Superman's God. Symbolically, I mean. So, or I guess with the celestial. DC has now said that it's no longer a trilogy or a trinity, but what would be a quad? I don't know. That it's no longer three. It's
a table.
It's a table. Yeah, it's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Harley Quinn is the fourth pillar of the foundation for DC now. They're literally saying that. Editorial said that, and it blue screened my brain. I mean, it's like,
no.
Okay, you've got three characters that embody aspirational archetypes. I mean, they're, as primal as they go. The reason they resonate as they do is because they are vital to who we are, and they represent something so lofty and big. They're greater concepts that we strive for. And then to toss in a basket case like Harley, what's she represent?
Infantilism.
Yeah, the child out of control. What? Okay. Let's see.
JW. If Harley's involved, it's probably a foursome.
Oh God. I'll look into see if Kame and Chi. By the way, it's an I at the end. Kame and Chi are probably have some sort of connection. I believe Chi had more of a connection to Buddhism and India's Hinduism, where Kame is the indigenous Japanese Shinto is the indigenous religion, and Kame is the primary aspect that it's all about.
Well, also, I thought that chi is something more hands-on.
It's your energy, yeah.
Where kame is
Well,
not.
it's weird because the idea of Kame is a lot of different things. I mean, the force is the easiest comparison, but you could also say that it's the logos, that you're in tune with the logos and moving with it, not against it. A foursome. But then also the idea is that if everything has Kame nature, or a Kami way, that the Kame, it means that essentially we're all connected to the same God aspect. And the idea is to stay in tune with it. The fourth part of the DC pillars is Marxist feminism. Read this one.
JC, fourth pillar of DC is a thoughterry. Become to Biden's America.
Welcome to Biden's America. Did you know that they made a big deal out of the fact that it is in canon that Harley voted for Bernie Sanders? I shit you not.
No, I know.
Oh, you knew about that?
Yeah.
Well, if you ever needed a reason not to vote for Bernie, the insane person's choice, Bernie Sanders.
Neostar. I tried to make a Trinity a while back modeled after the factions in DC Online. Magic, Tech, and Meta.
I'd need more context.
JW.
Oh, we agree. This is exactly where our conversation went.
Yep. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are immortals or primals. They represent forces that will outlive them. Harley has no mythology weight at all. Joker might as chaos, but not Harley. We were discussing that.
That is exactly what we agreed upon, is that he was unbridled chaos.
Yeah, I could totally see if they were proposing either the Heath Ledger Joker or Joker from the movie Joker.
Yes, Kame, not Kami. I know.
But no, yeah, because he would be, as you said, chaos, Loki. He'd be the person to take the ant farm and shake it up.
And by the way, get off my nuts. I just spent an hour reading a terrible book to you. Of course, I'm not going to speak very well. What? I'm going to stumble my words, goddammit. What?
You said that you've just spent the last hour reading a terrible book to us, and I immediately flashed on Mystery Science Theater. There was a gold man reading to me from a dirty book.
I like that version of Pearl.
Yeah. It was an honest version. I mean, both were honest,
yeah.
But that one was...
Oh, should I talk about that?
What?
The Pearl Forester in the later seasons of the Sci-Fi Channel's MST3K reminds me so much, my father's side of the family, of my grandmother. My father's mom. That personality, Pearl Forester, along with that weird fishing hat, the plaid, and that what would you call that blunt attitude of hers?
Well, she's got the she's very Midwestern. She's the Midwestern matron who doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, that was my grandmother on my father's side of the family. Also, the bit, remember where she was telling a scary story? Then there was a boy who carried his brain around in a bowl, and then he died. she did shit like that.
God.
Now, granted, she also drank a lot, but
Pearl does too.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, her and Dick were very, very saturated.
Marinated.
Marinated, that's it.
Larry, Razor comes off like he pretty much hates Batman for plagiarizing the Shadow. I know his complaints are not unfounded, but what original things does Batman have? I like Batman. I want to stand for him. To be perfectly 100% honest, and this is someone as a huge fan of at least the Timverse Batman, um, Batman is 100% plagiarized.
Um, one of the things that really bugs me is we're always hearing about was it Siegel and Schuster and Bob Kane as creating America's mythology. And it kind of bugs me because that's not true. It is a fucking lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in part, maybe the reason I don't like that claim so much is it's often used for political purposes. Um, and the fact of the matter is, Schuster, Simon, or was it Simon? Siegel and Schuster and Bob Kane all plagiarized the shit out of those characters. They did not create a damn thing.
Right down to the fact that there are issues of Batman that are word for fucking word ripped from the Shadow.
So yeah, we see the Superman estate always going, oh well, we're gonna do this with the character and that, and they're battling with DC. It's like, fuck you, that character should be public domain because they were fucking stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, Superman and Batman, the plagiarized versions that were created in the 40s, or was even the 20s for some, were nothing like what we have now.
No.
The characters that are Batman and Superman, I think, would have evolved regardless if it had been the Bat instead, or the Shadow, or any number of things that were plagiarized for Batman. That role would have been filled in the Trinity eventually. Because if you think about it, the original Batman to what we have now, he was built, multiple generations added to that legend, multiple minds. No one person really made that legend. It grew organically, and it came from our subconscious mythologically.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Superman. I mean, the Superman of the Golden Age is nothing like the man we have now, the Man of Steel that we have now, the Blue Boy Scout. He was not that at all.
Actually, the Blue Boy Scout we know today wasn't born until the Christopher Reeves movies.
Yeah. And so, yeah, again, Superman is an idea that would have come about anyway, I believe. If Superman had never been created, it might have been Shazam that was the one.
Yeah.
I mean,
he certainly had the makings of.
Yeah, and then Wonder Woman, the only one of the three that's actually an original character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Marston and his wife really did create that character. There were a few influences.
And their Dom.
But yeah, the only one of the three that actually is an original creation. The original Wonder Woman was kind of like a school marm. I mean, she was a disciplinarian. She was spanking villains all the time. She was finger wagging. She treated everyone like children. She became something else over time. And, that is just as much in part to Linda Carter, just like I would say Kevin Conroy.
Reeves?
Kevin Conroy, Mr. Mom, Beetlejuice.
Keaton.
Yeah, Keaton. All of them added. Frank Miller, all of them gave something to this character in time. And I mean, yeah, the Timverse Batman will always be my Batman. Of course, we've gotten to the point now as a culture that we accept the idea that there can be multiple tellings of the myth. And as long as it stays true to the spirit of the myth, we embrace it. And that's why these fake ones that we're getting now forced on us aren't going to last, and why they feel so hollow. And I really like the fact that we've kind of come to the idea that the same story can be told over in many different ways. As you said, in Egypt, there was no one canon.
No.
Everything was canon, even if it contradicted. A lot of religions were that way. Somebody in there was talking about Chi, Ki, and Kame. It's the same thing. They all overlapped. There was not this idea that there was one orthodox. We shared our myths. And so in that regard, I think these characters would have happened anyway. They might have had different names. I mean, if you think about it, if Superman is really the apex kind of uh, God metaphor, God sent his son metaphor, um, the magical slash mythological background of Shazam would work just as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was supposed to be embodying all these great heroes and gods. So yeah, and it's gotten certainly a much more interesting nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Well, I guess we're going to talk about it anyway. Oh, I'm sorry. I am so
Granny
sorry.
goodness reminds me of my grandmother. Oh, I'm sorry. Larry, I know the plagiarism was severe, but didn't public domain take over for Batman like it did for Superman? Is there anything original?
What do you mean public domain?
Take over for.
Take over for Bat? What do you mean by that exactly? Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't.
and yeah, the thing is the reason I get pissed off when people give all this credit to Kane and um, Siegel and Schuster is because no, they didn't create these. We need to also include in the crediting of these myths the pulp writers that they robbed blind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're always going on about these. Oh, well, these people created America's myth. No, they didn't. They stole it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit. There are huge chunks. You know, Batman is huge chunks of or stolen from the Bat, the Shadow, Zorro, Doc Savage. I mean, you go down the list. I mean, and you know, these plagiarisms didn't all just happen in their inception. Over time, as well as the characters grew, as other ideas entered the culture, I was like, oh well, you know, let's give Batman these traits too. You know, what was it? Originally, Daredevil, for instance, wasn't like a kung fu master. That came in later.
Yeah, he was a bare knuckle boxer, basically, like his dad.
Was it Frank Miller that brought in the kung fu element, or was it? I don't remember.
I think so because it was Frank Miller that introduced Stick.
But ultimately, yes, these are myths. They would have come about anyway. Just like if Lucas hadn't given us a Luke Skywalker, a Han Solo, and a Princess Leia, another Trinity, someone else would have. The culture needed it. We were going to generate our own mythology regardless. So yeah, let's see. Or did okay.
Fizz Chozo, the people who created Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman didn't create the what we think of those characters.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly. And honestly, at this point, like Star Wars, like Star Trek, these characters are so ingrained in our culture as a mythology. They really should just be public domain. I mean, the best stuff coming out of Star Trek now are fan productions. The stories we're telling each other. And you know what? Yeah, there's tons of shitty fanfic.
Well, Lucas did everything but put Star Wars in the public domain, right down to the fact that he encouraged fans to make their own stories and opened up the sound library.
Right.
I mean, geez.
And when you allow that to happen organically, like Lovecraft, who made his mythology public domain, what happens is in time, so many people start adding to it, and the bad elements will get tossed aside, and the elements that resonate will stay. I mean, yes, Lovecraft made those myths, but what popularized them? What made them accessible? Robert Bloch, Stephen King, Matheson, Harlan Ellison. They were the ones that took those ideas and retold them in a far, far easier way to read. Because, man, Lovecraft's writing, sometimes he was on and other times it was like, dude, stop trying to write like Poe. Just use your own voice, really.
Eloise, after Jugs, can you do a book debunking myths regarding the creation of America's mythology, or is there a book out there with that info?
Okay, do you want me to be perfectly honest? I'm going to mute this, okay? Okay, I'm going to be exceedingly vague with this answer. Maybe someday I'd love to do it. I've got other projects to do first. Frankly, I really still want to tackle the gray aliens and reptoids mythology and theology that has organically arisen first. Uh, Honestly, the reason I muted it and asked Kat, and I'm not going to say specifically what I asked her, is because in this cultural climate, I got to admit, if I really did do a takedown of all the plagiarism in comics, I might get massacred. I'm going to be honest with you. I might be branded all sorts of horrible things that I don't have the money to legally defend myself over. Really? The last thing I'd need is Warner Brothers or Disney decide they're going to destroy me. And the last thing I'd want to do is be tagged some sort of cultural pariah. Because unfortunately, when you start doing these things, you start digging into people's dirt and start
It's dirty.
Yeah. And let's face it, the original comics business, these guys were plagiarists, and a lot of it was just a front for mob money. Seriously.
Sorry, I got a text message from one of our fans.
Oh, did they say, what the hell's wrong with Ishii? Is he drunk?
No, it's something good. Kronk, I just got your message. I will share this with Ishii. Dark Stranger. One thing I hate about the Supes and Batman ripping from greater characters is that despite the obvious, plenty of people don't care. It's okay, and they're okay with it. It doesn't give credit to the originals.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't even have known about the Shadow if when the movie came out, my dad was like, "Oh, this is a great opportunity to get my daughter into the original radio dramas," and I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah. And it's important we know where these come from.
Mm-hmm. Larry, by public domain, I mean attributes Batman took on that are not contributions from his original plagiarist creator.
I'm still kind of lost.
I'm sorry, Larry.
I think you'd probably need to tell us by voice. It sounds like you've got a lot to say.
Yeah. JW, here's a topic: evil Superman. Why the recent fascination with the idea of an evil or twisted Superman figure? Homelander, Omni-Man, the alien child who turns out to be a psychopath.
Very, very, very easy.
But Ubermensch.
Because we live in an era in which we have large factions of politically motivated individuals backed by corporate money and foreign money who want to dismantle this culture. And, you know, there are a few things more American than Captain Kirk, Luke Skywalker, and Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Peace, justice, and the American way. Why would they not want to completely dismantle and destroy that myth? One of the things that you see in, Marxist strategy is the first thing they want to do is usurp the mythology and culture and then turn it into worship of the party and worship of the group. And not only that, when the feminists went berserk over Wonder Woman in the 70s, the Marxist feminists specifically said that they needed to be praising and raising up the average common woman should be the one that should be praised, and that feminism shouldn't have mythological and supernatural figures to look up to, because that it obscured the real people who deserve the credit, and that such symbols were imperialist and individualist. And, you know, Superman is a symbol of America. And these people fucking hate this country.
Larry, like how the public domain Superman is different from the copyrighted Superman, sort of, not the best comparison.
Yeah.
Should I look it up?
Not now.
Okay.
I'm just, let's see.
What's wrong? Do it, Ishii. We defend you. Quick fame and fortune.
I don't know if you guys could generate enough money to defend a Disney lawsuit. Much less the Siegel and Schuster families or Kane's family.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that they could easily claim you're doing a smear job on them, and then all sorts of other accusations could come up, and the same thing could be mentioned of all sorts of characters. I mean, put bluntly, I mean, it's the amount of plagiarism that went on in comics. I mean, pretty much every idea Stan Lee had was plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he was very proud of it. And the name Power Girl, I shit you not, the name Power Girl was assigned. I don't bring this up in my book because it's not really important, but Stan Lee kept seeing there would be a Marvel or a DC character, or like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of one, but if there was like a male version, he would then take the same name and make a female version so that DC couldn't, and say, "Oh well, Marvel owns that. Sorry. If you want that, you have to buy it from us, or we'll sue you if you use it." Right? And Marvel had just created Power Man, so they said, "Okay, we need a Power Girl before Marvel does, just to say fuck you." That is where the name came from. That's why, that's it.
Ricky, I want to read your take on Greys versus Reptilians.
I should probably publish that essay. It's probably going to be a while before I do the full book. I've got an essay. I could post it if you want to get it.
Dark Stranger, don't fear, Ishii. If people can get away with saying that Black Panther is just a race swap for Phantom, I'm sure you'll be fine. Victoria, do you think people don't talk about Superman and Batman being ripoffs from other characters because they fear it would lessen the characters, and what makes Batman and Superman great will be lost?
Oh, I don't think they're worrying about the characters being lessened of any degree. Partially, it's because corporations own them. Partially because I'm sorry, I actually guess I don't want to lose my channel. I'm sorry. I feel like this is a major cop out, but there are some landmines that I just don't feel like stepping on right now.
No, that's not a cop out. A cop out is if you gave some bullshit non-answer. You're saying flat out, I don't want to answer.
No, I don't want to answer because people will far too easily be able to twist it and smear you. And it's that simple. It's just like, it's the same reason, as much as we wanted to do an Adventures in Awful for the horrible comic book Black, where it was essentially what if only black people had superpowers, which is a really racist book. We wanted to do an Adventures in Awful, but we knew that if we did it, it could be used against us so bad that, to paint us as horrible racists, that it just is like, we don't want to step on that mine. It's really not worth the battle. I mean, it would be funny, but why? It's just a shitty comic. It wasn't worth the laughs.
There are better battles about the same.
I even asked, I directly wrote to just some guy and said, what if you riffed it and I animated it? And he didn't write back.
Hmm.
I think that would have worked great if you and him had done it together.
Oh, yeah. Release it before you die. Make it part of your will. Have it as a kill switch from variant. Oh, from Eloise. Passerby. Grant Morrison got the order to do that with Superman, but said no. Up. I guess we're getting another dust storm.
Yep. And probably 75-mile-per-hour winds. It'll be awesome.
Our things on the roof were okay, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Wind didn't affect them at all.
Okay. Just making sure. Star Storyteller. Ironic, since they killed off all the common salt of the earth people, such as the kulaks in the Soviet Union.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. When it comes to communists and socialists, the working class are just tools and fodder. The myth of the working class is what they use.
Mm-hmm.
And, the real working class, they can just go starve.
JW2 Passerby. There's some degree of public acceptance of the basic ideas, though. Plenty of people are watching The Boys and Invincible, and they're not embracing the death of the superhero.
Okay, you know what? I can talk about this one. I thoroughly and utterly gave up on the Boys series, and I had even considered doing a full video on this, but then I just decided I got a book to write. The Boys season 2 was so promising. It was so promising, especially with their character Stormfront. I thought, that was gutsy. They had this millennial from Seattle who played all the woke games to a T, right? Now, they got a woman who was very visibly and obviously Jewish, right? And she was spouting racism. And then it turns out she had Nazi views. I thought that they were making some sort of very gutsy. It's like, okay, that's balls. That is serious balls to cast a Jewish woman who I thought she was Jewish. Suddenly she's an Aryan out of nowhere. And then in the 11th hour, her personality completely changes. She suddenly becomes this simpering, how would you describe it?
Girlfriend.
Yeah, she went from being this great character to a simpering girlfriend. Suddenly she's, I'm going to bring on the Fourth Reich kind of shit. And it was a cop-out. And the reason being is all season, they had been showing the connection between Voight Industries and all the superhero corruption. And continually, and I do mean continually, they were making jokes comparing Voight's behavior to Disney, including, wouldn't they have Voight Plus streaming?
Mm-hmm.
Like Disney Plus, right? And I thought, okay, that is gutsy. Okay, showing that this entertainment, it's essentially it was making fun of the entertainment industry and their fucked up politics and the fact that they say all the right things, but they're really racist. And they were showing that, and that they're behind closed doors. They're all a bunch of perverts and assholes who don't believe in any of the morals they spout. And then again, at the 11th hour, they toss in a character who's suddenly a secret Nazi, and they blame it all on, oh, well, it's the white race stepping up to take over the world again. I'm sorry. That doesn't work. That doesn't work in the least. Because when your villain is essentially a stand-in for the Disney Corporation and Warner Brothers, you cannot pretend that this is the Christian right who's responsible for all this. You can't suddenly say, oh, the real bad guys are the Christian right and white people or Aryans. Suddenly, they're blaming it on the religious right, which really isn't even a force anymore. It's like, go back to 1980. And non-existent Nazis. And I'm sorry, you can't do that because let's face it, Disney is not ran by Aryans. Warner Brother is not ran by Aryans or right wingers or or Nazis. Neither of those corporations are ran by Nazis. I'm sorry, Google, who they were also ripping on, is ran by an Indian man, not Nazis. And so for them to out of nowhere just suddenly throw in, oh well, it's the evil Aryans again and Christians, was such a fucking cop out. It's like, no, it's not any one race. It's not any religion. No, it's corporate greed. That's it. It's avarice. It is having no loyalty to any morals or nation or identity. It is strictly money. And they at the 11th hour, no, Hollywood couldn't own their shit. They had to make up, oh, it's the Christians again. Oh, it's the white people again. No, it's Hollywood. It's Hollywood to blame, okay? Mark Zuckerberg is not some Christian Aryan. Haji, what's his name? No, Saji Patel, or the guy that runs Google is definitely not Christian, white, or conservative. It's just so, yeah, that thoroughly disgusted me. This like, no, Hollywood, not after Me Too, not after Weinstein, not after Epstein, not after all the other shit that's happened over the last couple of years. Can you suddenly just pull out of your ass and say, oh, well, it's the people in the South who pray to God are really the bad guys. It's their fault. I mean, a black guy runs Voight. So, yeah. So, any comments? How'd I do? You had a lot to say about this before. You don't care anymore?
I'm worn out.
Oh, are you worn out?
I'm worn out and I'm super thirsty.
You too?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have actually made Propel beforehand.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go through the last ones.
Stranger, so on a lighter and not controversial political subject, who's your top 5 comic artists?
Mark Harrison, who you all probably don't know, did Glimmer Rats and Durham Red. Frankly, I love Mark Silvestri. Silvestri's art. I know Jim Lee's work was beautiful, but there was something more gritty and real about Silvestri. Frank Miller, I have to credit him because I learned so much about panel layout and action just from looking at his art and studying how he told stories. So I have to credit Frank Miller. I would say Frank Cho just for the hotties. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Marini, maybe?
Marini
or Inkai Bilail. One of those two. It would be a toss-up.
In no particular order, Marini, Bernie Wrightson, the artist that's on Requiem Vampire Night, Tim Bradstreet, and God, I know I've got another one. I know I've got a last one. I just can't remember. Oh, Wagner. Matt Wagner.
Yeah, he's definitely got a very unique style.
That's American comics. That's not getting into manga.
Yeah, manga is a totally different beast.
Eloise, regardless, Ishi, I understand. I look forward to your alien book and essays, though. Sounds cool. I'm a fan of Ancient Aliens, so it's right up my alley. Awesome.
You know what? All I have to do is apply the edits and put a cover on it. I could put it up this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, the essay was kind of it became kind of an outline for a book, but the essay works on its own. It's 9,000 words.
Neostar, all right. They turned Stormfront into a feminazi, or so I heard. They did. Storyteller. Ishii got blue balls for callouts on corporate grade.
Oh, not saying it. Sorry, guys. I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to lose this channel yet. There are a few things you can't say without having your life destroyed, so. And I hate to say that. It's really embarrassing. Oh, what happened?
I jumped.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. It jumped on us, and we got to find where the conversation. Oh, there it is. So there's Storytellers.
Okay.
So, Neostar. How many woke idiots assume most minorities aren't also Christians or Catholics?
We're not doing the pineapple on pizza thing again.
I have stated my views. I will leave it. Has Tim Bradstreet ever made a complete comic? Yes.
Yes, he has. Dragon Chiang and I believe Scout.
Mhm.
And both are post-apocalyptic and look very, very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I would highly recommend Dragon Chiang if you can track one down. It's very 80s. And it's about a trucker after the nuclear war. And there's this bridge between Russia and Alaska. And it's this trucker going back and forth. And he's a Chinese dude. And his truck is built from the body of a Hind attack helicopter.
Nice. Storyteller. I'm going to do a story that has a Christian King character as one of the heroes. Oh man, people are going to lose their minds.
Hey, Star, when are we going to talk about Nazca? I really want to talk to you about it. Okay, well, I'm going to call that a night. Thank you again, real quickly. If you want to buy any of my shirts, please go to TeePublic. You know what? Let me get the link for you. Come on. Why is it not?
What are you wanting to do?
I'm trying to get it to go back.
It's TeePublic /stores/cultural-barbed wire.
Okay, let me put the link up one more time. So there it is. Please go buy my shirts. I need the money.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again for the continuing adventures of the Golden Amazon. And we plan on continuing this at the same bat time, same bat channel next week. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're getting close to finishing it.
Yeah, we're 61% of the way
It's finally
through.
getting interesting.
Yeah. Although the last two times it got interesting, it then spent a chapter or two recapping everything that's happened. So I have a feeling that might happen next time.
Then we'll just skip over all the boring parts.
Exactly.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.